Here we are back with possibly the last map of the series of the tournament for IEM Sydney closed qualifiers of the East Asian region. Mac, we're here to run you through all of the action. Of course, we've got Inferno coming up. We said that Overpass was going to be possibly the last opportunity for Absolute. Do we think that that's really still true?
Yep. I'd love to think they can do it on Inferno, but after the showing they had there on Overpass, I'm just not too sure about it. MVP, their CT side just looked much more structured, as well as, you know, just the team in general. You could see on the T side, the teamwork that they were showing, the boosts, you know, flashing each other into angles, never really going in dry, and also just waiting for the perfect times to make their moves as well. Just catching this Absolute off guard time and time again. You know, it just looks like a very one-sided game, even though the score up on the board was, you know, it wasn't too bad. It was convincing. Yeah. I'm going to say it wasn't too bad because it wasn't like a 16-4 like the demolition. It was, but I think this map we might see something more like that. Yeah, that's the problem for us. We've watched, you know, so far we've watched 3 maps, I believe it is. And one thing that, well, we've technically only watched 2 maps. The one thing that is really quite clear is the fact that it really only seems to be MVP that has a strong and sturdy CT side. Yeah. Like it's so far.
I know it sounds bad, but yeah.
You know, you saw Absolute as well as, who was the one earlier? Storm. Yeah, Storm. They were getting very aggressive on the CT sides, you know, and usually dry, not really off very good lined up util either. And generally not off information, just randomly to try to gain information, which a lot of the time sends you into a stack. And if you're not flashing in and you're walking into a stack with people's crosshairs straight on you, you are going to be punished. And we've seen that time and time again. And that is why I believe we need to see them start to, you know, use that patience we saw them use on their T side, but just on the CT side, which is where you need it, as well as some crossfires too. I haven't seen too many crossfires. The couple of times I have from Absolute, it's worked wonders. They just don't get themselves in the positions to make it work.
Yeah, it almost seems like the refrag ability isn't there a lot of the times. And like you're saying, the T side, they still are pretty patient. They still play pretty, you know, defensive, I would say, for a T side. And then when they burst hard. And that's why I think in the second half, when we saw Absolute on their CT side for the pistol, it worked so well because it was just a 5v5 retake. There was no damage done prior to it. There was no kind of deficit for either team. And maybe that's where Absolute shine, and maybe they need to start playing accordingly to that. Maybe it is more defensive or a little bit more aggressive even. I just feel like there are certain portions to Absolute, especially on their CT side, that are lacking, that if they step their game up, they could compete against MVP. Because for us and the East Asian region, MVP is the Titan. And I don't think there's really any argument.
No, there's definitely not any argument. But, you know, going into Inferno, we are going to have some like closer range engagements than what we saw on Overpass. You know, that AWP was being utilized pretty well, but never really at long range for either team. So there is still a chance for the AWP to be used here on Inferno. But I think it's going to come down to, you know, a lot of forcing, a lot of pistols, and, you know, the long rotations as well. You saw Absolute, there was a couple of times where they went for those sight stacks, especially when they're on the eco, which, you know, ecos don't come around that often now with the new meta, especially if you're like very far behind. You've got that round loss bonus just completely stacked up.
Well, ecos, forces, full buys, it's all going to come down to it. Especially for MVP, a third and possibly final map in our best of 3. We head to Inferno. Absolute are going to have to fight tooth and nail to bring this back, to give themselves a further opportunity. I don't know whether it's going to be able to kind of come to be with the way that MVP are, the strength that they have, the utility, the lineups. You were saying how important utility is, and especially on a map like Inferno. And so far from what we've seen, MVP have just had it over pretty much every other team.
Starting on the T side, we are once again going to see MVP utilizing 2 of their players as the old supports there, buying up that utility. HSK once again taking the P250, and again, not giving it to someone with armor. So we'll see if this works out. MVP just happy to hold the default weight to punish any aggression from Absolute, which, you know, they would expect to see after how they've been playing their CT side in the previous matches. But now there's only one man here at B, and it looks like Absolute are going to play for the retake. MVP. not finding the information just yet. But Absolute with the slow rotation. Crow making his way back to the B site, or at least playing deep arch, making sure that the wrap doesn't happen over towards A. The 2 men over towards Apps might try to sell a fake here. Who's that? That's going to be Stacks and Zine. Jumping up, making a bit of noise. Absolute pretty passive though, but now this stack might just work out. So Absolute doing their homework, it seems. Just holding their wit. Bit of util used over towards Moto there now, and there's going to be 4 men in front of it, so team damage done. Lack of communication as they start to head into the A site, but Stacks as well flicking around with the Glock. It's going to be Crow doing the first damage for Absolute. But Zeph, he's found 2. Zine taking down Bass, sorry. And it's going to be Takej in a 1v4 to try to clutch it out. But mate, he has no kit, and he is in a very rough position to even get back and close to the site.
Yeah, kit, clue, they generally go hand in hand. Unfortunately, near impossible. Crow might have had a kit if Takej is lucky. Finding a way back in. Does hit a dink on towards Zeph, but unfortunately doesn't hit the shot. Look at this flank coming through from Zine. Just complete and utter confidence in the fact that the rest of MVP can hold this. Takej, he's just going to think that he's free, right? He's going to think that he's got the free movement back toward that B side. Actually, hang on a second. He's got a bit of an inkling. He knows something's happening here. Oh, I was waiting for the knife kill, but Zine way too far away. A very strong first round for MVP.
Oh, 100%. Keeping 4 players alive at the end, as well as they've picked up a couple of those USPs. We'll see if Zine did what we saw someone do earlier. No, he's gone for that AK as well. So I was expecting someone to go for the BM play and just hold on to the USP, expecting no helmets on Absolute. But it is Inferno, so obviously we've seen MVP expect the force buy, and they will have expected correctly. You're going to see 3 shotguns in play. Reader just trying to keep $800 redos in the bank to try to buff that economy, taking a bit of utility of his own. Yeah, early util is going to be used by both sides, and MVP now. They are aware of the position of at least one of the CTs, but outside of Boiler, Laz holding close with the Swag 7. As MVP, they are going to go for the big rotation into CT.
This is going to be really tough. Zeph taking down Stacks as double agent actually gives them an opportunity here. So even though, you know, they've killed 2, it's a 2-for-2 trade.
What?
Complete and utter confusion coming through. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. We'll have to wait and see whether they caught that on the mad replays or not, but an extra lifeline given for Absolute. And it's an awkward situation because MVP is stuck in between rock and a hard place. There's no one really contesting them on either side, but they are stuck with a decision. It looks like they're going to wrap onto Ward A. Crow's too far away with that Mag 7 to have any sort of impact, so it's going to come down to whether Bass decides to actually fight this or sit passively with the Deagle and wait for that plant. They know that they can't be toward B. They've already cleared that out, and the fact that they haven't rotated yet kind of leads me to believe they're going to be playing the long game.
Well, Takej here might actually find an AK over towards CT. I'm not too sure if MVP got rid of it or what actually went on over there. But it looks like Absolute are going to attempt to go for the retake now. Bass very close here up at the end of Carps, as well as Crow making his way in with the Swag 7. I'm not too sure if that Nova is still in play, but it looks like they're just going to go for the exit, try to cause as much damage as possible. There might even be some utility left on the CTs, and if it comes out in time, no. There you go. Bass is going to be spotted there. Shut down completely. 3 Ts all remaining, not taking any extra damage. But the CTs managing to keep a couple of pistols in their hands, as well as some primaries. As now we go into the 3rd of the match.
Pure confidence from MVP at this point. Why not? They don't have any real reason to sweat, stress, or any other type of word. Zeta, the double opening, and we'll get it as well on the back of a nice flash from Zeph. Very nicely done, again, with little to no ease.
Look, that's that stress relief they were looking for, just being relieved of any life. So, you know, no life, no stress, right?
That's pretty much it.
Yep, understandable. Laz as well going to cop a huge amount of damage, be finished off eventually there, biting off more than he could chew up against the big man Zine. Now it's a 2v5, and MVP pretty much guaranteed the round at this point, should get it down for free, knowing that at least one of the CTs is over towards A. They should be aware of where Rater and Bass are playing. And the only weapons for them to retrieve are the shotguns at the top of Banana as well, which went down earlier in the round, but now the CT is looking to get aggressive towards the bottom of mid. They might be able to potentially save a rifle or two, but Absolute definitely buying into the fourth of the map. There's the contact, a little slow on the trigger, whoever that was, HSK, just making sure he lined it up. Finds the first, looks for the second, spots that shadow, and will mop him up. That's 3 on the board for MVP. And this is pretty much how we saw the last map start as well.
I don't think it'll be too much of a deviation from the score from the previous map either. Inferno tends to be one of MVP's kind of top 3 maps. And with that, pure and utter comfort. The problem lies with MVP playing T-side first, is if they get off to a good start, if they finish this with a 7-8 there's, I mean, I don't want to say there's next to no chance for Absolute, but their CT side is so impressive on Inferno. We've seen them fight against some of the bigger names in CS and still hold their own. Absolute are still yet to be able to test them. But we're still a good 12 rounds away from that, so there's no real need to jump to any conclusions. Some nice Molotov smokes being thrown toward top mid. Bracket control gain. As they now make their way around the corner. 2 players just going to be holding on that A site. Make that 3 with Crow now assisting. But Zine, he's just playing as Lurker. No one expected it. And again, another team kill coming through has actually left Absolute an okay chance to clutch this out.
That wall of smokes at pit as well, leaving Bast alive. He only had one place he could really look, being up on the balcony, so great position for him to trade. Unfortunately, MVP, they haven't dealt with him yet, and this is going to buy so much time, although going open, Zeta will peek on his own, which is questionable at the best of times, but it's worked out so far. And he is going to be known at least, but he's on a single digit. That's 8 HP remaining. Tarkej coming in slowly and silently up through Diggity. Finding the first through the box, expecting the second to be somewhere on site. There you go, he spotted the head, tries to tap the bomb. Will he get the angle? Jumps up. Stacks though, too damn sharp. Flicks onto the noggin, and that is going to be 4 in a row for MVP on the T side already. And Absolute not going to be able to buy, but they should half invest here into the 5th round.
Very slow start from Absolute. 6 kills across the entire board in 4 rounds. Make it 5 now, technically. And with pistols, doesn't really seem like they're going to be able to achieve a hell of a lot more. Bast just being given a bit of a handicap. Crow being dropped down 53 HP. Zeta picking up. Not very good for the start. Oh. Zeta just pat-statting for this point.
The ants are marching one by one. Hurrah. Hurrah. And they go falling down too. They get squished like the ants they are playing like. And it's Bast last alive in a 1v5. And now with just a CZ finding one of the Ts very wide in CT spawn. That's going to be Zeph hot on the heels. But you see Zine as well. Who's going to be the one to find the rabbit? It's going to be Stacks knocking his head straight off. Bast going down. And that is going to be 5 in a row for MVP on the T side, as Absolute should be able to buy into the 6th. But a very slow start. Laz as well, he was showing up in the previous map, but right now he's still on that fat egg. 5 rounds in. Good amount of frags there. I think it was for Zeta, who was just popping off so far on the T side, just causing those entries. But once again, you can see the structure on Absolute is not the greatest. Peaking on their own, not working as a team. It essentially, and trying to go through the smokes on their buy round. Mate, what are you doing? Come on, boys.
Okay, that's a huge problem for the CT side here. The Molotov was down, right? So they throw the smoke to try and slow it down, to try to dissipate what is basically burning them alive. But they're right out in the open. They know that MVP have been holding B pretty much every round so far. And what I don't understand, okay, free kill for Laz, sure, that's all good and well, but you've already lost 2 members. for nothing.
Yeah. Very silly aggression. They continue to do it, and they are not making it work at all. So, you know, it's a bit crazy to just continue doing something that is not working, hoping that it will eventually change, you know, the outcome. Unfortunately, that is not the case at the moment. Good damage done to the T's, though, so this could be the first round for Absolute if they connect their bullets. You've still got Zion up here in Apartments lurking, and Raider as well getting aggressive there, but he's going to be caught off guard, not expecting the swing out of Carp. So it's back to the 2v3 as the rotation started to come out. But Absolute, do they save here? They've got 2 rifles alive, and it's going to be very hard with a man disadvantage to retake on this A site. The time that it's going to take to rotate as well is not even worth it. And as you see here, Laz is just going to be posted on Speedway, waiting for someone to get over aggressive through CT. But MVP, that money is very, very high, although it looks like he's actually timed out again. Well, was it Laz earlier?
Yeah, it was Laz earlier.
Okay, well, there you go.
I don't feel too well, Mr. Stark. Laz has been having problems, dissipating with the click of a finger again.
Worst part about this is every time we have to do match medic, it completely destroys the HLTV scoreboard, which is where I get half of my stats from.
Well, I think the problem, especially right now, is this round is done and dusted. I'm pretty sure the second people take damage, right, the medic can't come in to fix it. So, just taking down his own teammate. That's just what MVP do. That's a bit of camaraderie, a bit of teamwork. So, it must be a little bit frustrating for Absolute at this point. That's twice we've seen so far that he has DC'd, and it is a little bit unfortunate, but you do just have to soldier on at this point. Where is that?
Oh, that's inside the A site. There's missiles inside the garage. You can see it under the garage door.
Oh, you can
This bracket in front of the camera, yeah, on the other side of the wall.
That is so cheeky.
Yeah.
I like that.
Are they playing out this round? Laz is back. He was already back in the server.
Yeah, he DC'd and came straight back.
I thought we were going to get a pause on a match medic, but apparently not. All right, so Absolute have copped that one on the chin, which is understandable. It happened at the end of the round. And Laz was right back in the server. So back to the 3v3 early trades, favouring, I guess, MVP. As now it's a 2v1 towards the B site. If they do decide to force their hand, it's only going to be Crow there with the P250. Very dangerous position, but the rotate coming out from Laz as well with the AWP. Only Bast once again on that A site trying to hold. Up on the balcony. Will he be spotted? Zion was aware. He actually spotted the barrel just barely as he looked away, but he did not recognise the situation. Yeah, Bast's going to be spotted here, jumping on the wall, gets the molly out, tries to buy some time for the rotation. But he is going to stand in the Molotov of his own, stacks through the other molly, which had a gap on the edge of it, unfortunately, for Bast. But now it's a 2v2 as the rotation comes out. And MVP looking good to find a 7th in good post plants here as well, double in the pit.
They will pretty much just work off the shoulder of Laz here on that AWP, but not very often do you see a player where Stax is. Right? Stax is just holding on that tiny little angle just above the barrel by Pit. And it's not very often. You generally see people on the bike on the right-hand side of Pit or on the far left. So it is, you can kind of play it as a small off angle. Crow, yeah, okay, Dozier, settle down, mate. I don't think he's even done enough damage. Maybe he's just done exactly enough. No. Okay, definitely.
If the bomb was planted right on the corner.
Yeah.
Then they would have potentially fallen. I think you survived with 13 HP, and that did exactly 13 HP damage.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but it was just too far away, the bomb radius. Not quite finishing off the 2 players of MVP there, hiding in the corner. But Absolute still looking to crack the egg, rather, make that omelette. Grab a little bit of protein in their diet. As they're looking a bit deficient in the muscle department, in the power, the skills, and the rounds at the moment.
They wouldn't want to see them opening up a security business. They have not been able to hold, retake, anything thus far. There we go. Pro will find one, and with the double, with the triple stack on B, it's worked an absolute treat.
Ooh.
Oh, but that's not exactly. Well, you know what? That's a 500 IQ smoke right there. Rita is looking ahead into the future at least 5 seconds, and has completely thrown us off.
And Tarkesh still goes down because he goes wide behind the smoke there, and unfortunately he'll be shut down. Stacks doing the honours there, denying the exit. So it's back to the 3v3 for just the moment. 40 seconds remaining. Absolute now. Keeping 2 towards A, making sure no big flank comes out through CT. So decent map control there at bracket. But MVP with 30 seconds remaining. Looking to throw a bit of utility, and it's going to be the fake towards B. Does it draw out the rotation, though? A bit of noise going to be made at the bottom of mid. Although that's not going to be heard. Look at Laz just getting off of bracket, although he's going to go to Speedway after throwing the flash as well. And there's some noise being made. Good timing on the molly, but the T's are going to go straight through. Low HP on 2 of the T's. There's every opportunity here for Absolute to clutch it out. Bast in the pit. Can he deny the cross? He's making a lot of noise here, so the T should be aware.
No.
Surely he gets that through the box. Can't quite connect. It's going to be Laz doing damage. Zion is a machine, and it's back to the 2v2.
What a ballsy peek from Zion there. There's absolutely no way he peeks that angle. It's already been held by an AUG scoped in, and he goes, sure, yeah, why not? HSK now holding with the orb. He's going to hit both shots. He misses the first, doesn't hit the no-scope, but he will pull out the deagle. He hits it and swings on to Rita to continue the flawless streak. 8-0, and MVP are burying Absolute now.
15 HP. 1 bullet and he was dusted, and he managed to pull that clutch off. I'm not too sure what is going on in the Absolute camp, but they can't connect a single bloody shot when it's necessary, and it reflects on the scoreboard.
That one's going to hurt.
This is rough.
We've seen how many 3v3s now?
Ah. Well, we've seen how many 3v3s won by MVP now.
Yeah.
that's the better question. And Inferno, look, I like to think it's T-sided still, even though, you know, these days with the AUG, usually it's the opposing thought. But MVP just completely shutting it up. There comes the flash. That's an opportunity. Tarkesh with the double gets the third as well. As Zeta gives up his position, but he can't get the gun reloaded in time, committing to the spray, fully blinded, being punished, and there should be no way for Absolute to throw a 5v2. All right, jumping for the information, barely dodging those bullets, and now let's see what Zion and Stacks can do to work their way back into the 9th.
It's the God flash for you into Banana.
Finally using some util to get that aggression out too.
Yep. Apart from our 200 billion IQ smoke before, there's been real Noke, and will fall down, but takes one with him. That's pretty much his job done there. Because the 2v5, and no, it sounds extreme, but it's still a huge opportunity for them to come back in. Stacks already thinking one to be in toward pit. Across through smoke, not going to work, and there's the first round on the board for Absolute.
See, I don't think Bast, like, he made it work anyway, but I don't think that was his position to hold. He was not spotted in Graveyard at all. Could have clutched it out if his other teammate fell. But he peaked just in time and made it work regardless. And Absolute finally getting on the board on their CT side. And is this the slight bit of momentum that they need to get back into the game? MVP, their economy, has just been investing in all the right things, and that is rounds 1 and rifles retained. Absolute, though. Look at this Tarkesh. Does he have a weapon, or is he on the USP? I'm very confused.
Oh, that's not good.
Did he forget to buy? Did he leave the gun in spawn? I'm watching him get aggressive towards Banana, but I'm very curious why.
A small little... You know, we'll just have to wait and see. There you go, he's got the AK saved from the previous round. As holding on to the short line from fucking Will. Oh, he's going to peek underneath Bulk there. That could have been devastating now. Utility going every which way. It hasn't really blocked off the archway, which leaves it open. Now making their way into toward the site. And they have still been able to isolate that player in toward pit, but HSK doesn't expect it. The bomb hasn't gone down, and Bass has just saved the round so far. The bomb still yet to be put down. Oh, this peak is so juicy because that barrel will hide him. But it all depends on the peak. Who peaks first? The shoulder still hasn't been seen. That nearly gives him a great opportunity. But Zion trying to even out the odds. The bomb is dropped on default, and there's every chance for MVP to claw this one back.
Crow posted on the perfect angle, denying the aggression at Diggity. Zion will retrieve the bomb, and he won't even get it down. Trying to face there at Library, but Crow still with the angle, just holding like a champion. But shout-outs to Bass. He utilized the smoke so well there, just isolated those angles, completely caught MVP off guard, and single-handedly held that A site and bought just enough time for his teammates to rotate in.
Now, statistically speaking, Absolute are better on their CT side. Okay?
Right, yep.
And MVP are better on their CT side. This is not going at all the way that Absolute would have hoped for.
Not at all. I didn't hear that shot, but apparently Rita is a money champion. What do you know? Connecting perfectly. I swear that was through the wall. It had to be through the wall. There's a hole there, but it didn't say it was a wallbang.
He was playing from car there.
Was he? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Sneaky bugger. Get out of the car, mate.
Going for a cheeky little peek.
No cars in this game.
Do we still call it car?
Yeah.
Potato, potato. Right?
What else do you call it?
Barrels with a half.
Top Nana?
Top Nana.
Yeah.
Don't say that. It'll trigger a couple of regions.
Who?
I don't know. Can you remember that thread?
Who doesn't like banana?
No, Nana.
It's all about the potassium, you know?
Oh, no. Watch my frag.
Anyway, we are going to see HSK just molly in the corner there, looking to force the CTs apart. Tarkesh through the smoke. He's going to take the kill. Managed to come out on top somehow. Everybody blinded. Finds a second somehow. What? On the stacks. Zeta bringing it back to the 2v3. I'm not even sure what's going on at the moment, but there's potentially going to be a bomb planted in this scenario. Rotation's coming out late, but well.
It's the flash. The flash from Absolute, right? We've barely seen utility usage on the CT side, and we've seen it so effective in 2 of the rounds won from Absolute now. Tarkish has possibly given them a great opportunity. Zeta's gone for the peek on towards Banana, but Crow's waiting. And now Zion left in a 1 versus 3 to try and clutch it out. This would have to be some sort of work. Sitting in behind you, box waiting for these players to peek on through. And, well, Laz is quite a big hurdle to get past first, but you're not going to manage to.
Look, in the 1v3, he had to try to make a play. He had to try to find something. Unfortunately, he peeked straight into the person that was looking right at Newbox, and that is going to be a third on the board for Absolute. So MVP, they've still got the 5-round lead and the majority of the rounds for the half, but is it going to be enough? I have an inkling that it will. So the best case scenario for Absolute is they take the rest of the rounds here and have that momentum carrying over into the second half, but they'll still have to get the pistol. And MVP, their pistols have been looking pretty good all night. It was only Absolute's retake pistol over on Overpass that I was very impressed with. I didn't think it'd work at all, but the 5-man filter through ABC just causing all that damage. Well, we are going to see some trades towards mid here in the 12th round of the match. Good flash again! Absolute finally using that utility. And converting into a couple of frags as well. So that's a 2-man advantage. Surely this won't be thrown.
Oh, no!
He's turning up. He's turning up. He wants the ace, Manic.
It was one of the win conditions we were talking about, Laz being such a menace, a force to be reckoned with. And you're seeing it perfectly. Some more flashes being thrown back. There's a bit of a spanner in the work now. HSK needs to hold on to his life because he does not want to give Laz a second ace for the series. Looks as though he will peek straight into the top mid. Crow's waiting. MVP now. Small little cracks.
Lazzy boy just looking sharp as nails at the moment. Finally starting to find that confidence back. You know, he didn't seem to have it in the... He hit some shots in the previous map, but it just never really looked super confident.
No. There's always for one of these members, right, I always feel like when they start to turn up, the game heats up tenfold. And Laz missing for the first, I'd say 5 rounds. Literally first 5 rounds, he went 0-5. But then after that, kicking into gear, you know, 3 rounds, give or take, starts to warm up. Now there's been 4 straight for Absolute. We are possibly looking at a 7-8 scoreline. And it's not that far of a stretch to say, to be honest, with the way that MVP's economy is looking. At the very least 5. Giving themselves a small chance to make this work.
You'd think so, but once again, Absolute looking to contest top Nano, at least getting that early util out, but Zephy's found an angle on that smoke, but it's going to be Crow to hold, denying Absolute a lot of that banana control.
I think HSK has just mollied his teammate off there. No, it's just fallen on the other side of Barbecue. Secondary Molotov to come on through. Unreal positioning so far. He needs to hard clear this, but they also need to hard clear the close corner, and he might be playing it perfectly. They're both going to go into the angle. He finds the first, and now with the backup of Zion, they both have rifles. This has all gone wrong for Absolute, and there's a great opportunity here. The nade will come through. HSK will swing wide, but Zion's close for the refrag. A 1v1. Rita pulls out the sidearm. It's not going to be enough, and Zion clutches it out in the 1v2.
I thought that Zion had lost that then. His crosshair placement was all skew-if, but this mechanical ability that we're seeing just to, you know, draw the crosshair back, get that tracking on bloody point as well, is just so good from MVP. You know, that is pretty much the end of the train for Absolute. MVP finally getting another round on the board. Good economical damage done by Absolute, but unfortunately, you know, it was only a half buy by MVP because they were on the eco just looking for that early round hit. It worked wonders. 3v2 though being lost by Absolute. You can't afford those rounds.
Nice HSK. Well, that flash is actually going to allow Zeta to gain some space in Banana, but problem is, gaining space in the three players, all unflashed, all unfazed, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. So Zion, for the meantime, we haven't really seen that much aggression in toward Apps, to be honest. I thought we'd see a lot more control. We've seen a lot of banana-heavy plays from MVP to clear on out first, but Absolute have left it almost uncontested for the better half.
Yeah, they really are putting a high priority on that banana control for the CT side. And they finally found it, and they're just going to go straight through rather than holding it. And it seems to be the play, the aggression, and then getting passive. Tarkesh picking up the AK. Giving them a two-man advantage, but not for bloody long. Crow as well, almost going down through the pre-fire on the edge of the smoke. But out in the open, he's going to be shut down by Zion. It's back to the 3v3. With 30 seconds remaining, they can go to either side at the bottom of mid there. Tarkesh, very bloody wide. He's going to be traded out by Zion, who's setting himself up for the ace now. Reader, he's got himself the AWP at the bottom of the T-stairs. Last man in pit is going to be Bass, and he's shut down as HSK drops all the way down. Death from above. Bomb gets planted, but Reader, can he isolate the 1v1s? Molotov's there. The wide swing's coming out, but it's going to be too much for Absolute. MVP finding double digits in the first half, and we could see an exact same situation as what we saw on Overpass, an 11-4 half here. There's every opportunity for MVP to find that 11th round, and Absolute, looking at the economy, it's pretty much in the bin. You know, they've still managed to pull out a very good buy. I swear I saw a couple of $3,000 dues there for a couple of them, but they've managed to do it. You got the swag 7 on Bass. Let's see if he can make it work there. Been very aggressive with it in carps. He might actually find a T here. It's going to be HSK drawing first blood. Zeta as well goes down. Aggression from Tarkesh. He finds the bomb, but will he fall back? I feel like getting passive in this situation is the best option. HSK posted on the angle. Flash comes in. He finds two more. Make it a third as well. And that is going to be the round done and dusted. Crow finishing off stacks. And Absolute managed to find a fifth. Those flashes finally coming in. I don't know if they bloody, you know, watched the VOD really quickly in the break and figured out what we were saying, that they weren't using that utility. But they fixed something here, and they're starting to look better. But can they carry it over into the T side?
We literally had this conversation about utility last week, about the fact that, you know, your CT side utility is so vitally important, especially in a map like Inferno. You've got your smokes, you've got your flashes, you've got your Molotovs. Use them. Don't be afraid to let them out. And sometimes, yes, there is always the question of, oh, do we save it for the retake? But if you're using it effectively, there's no need for a retake. The second Absolute took out the need for retakes there, they were winning rounds. The second MVP got on site and got that bomb down, I don't think there was one clutch from the CT side.
Oh, was there? No real clutches. There was a couple of retakes, but there was no real comebacks from a man disadvantage that I can recall. Don't at me. I don't know if I'm right there or not. But we are going to see Absolute with a 5-round disadvantage going in to the second half. Now, what are we going to see here? Absolute. Very slow out of spawn as MVP. They are getting aggressive down mid, and Absolute pretty set up to deal with it, although HSK and Zeta are going to be the first two to draw blood. Looking for some more. The man at second mid, Raider out in the open. He's going to be shut down, as is Bas coming in through the tunnel. One by one. Again, Absolute just not playing this together at all. And Crow last alive just with a bit of utility. A Glock and no armor.
That's the difference between playing patiently and playing defensively. Absolute were so far back then and so spread out that I would say that's a common occurrence for a mid push by a CT side. It's either mid or banana if you're going to go aggressive. And I do find it interesting that they just weren't overly prepared for it. And so it's all going to be a flawless round for MVP. A nice push down mid, and those first opening kills are crucial. The second you take a member or two off the board on that T side, you overwhelm them by numbers. You can hide on the right side of mid, you can push deep in mid and watch banana. It's pretty much the round done there.
You could see there in that round as well, the confidence just shining through for MVP. I'm pretty sure they think that they've got this, but they should be well, they probably would be expecting Absolute to die here. They've just gone for the nade stack, but it's gone both ways. And MVP coming out on top, managing to dodge all of the nades from the T side, and they're just going to die to the Molotov, deny any extra economy to MVP. So that was a good decision, as there was a UMP waiting for them at the top of banana. And now 12 rounds in the kit there for MVP, 5 for Absolute, and a 7-round lead. My God, and Absolute are going to have to do some work to get back into the game. They finally got the rifles to do it, but do they have the utility, and do they have the skill?
Well, they've got the rifle, they have somewhat the utility, and they have their favoured side. So technically, we're nearly ticking all the boxes there, mate. But look at this push down MVP. 4 players in banana, all making space. Crow's got no clue what's happened. They've just pushed through Molotovs. It's going to be the free kill left, right, and centre, but they push in towards top mid just in time. The bomb's being dropped on the other side of Boiler. Zion's already spotted one, backs away, still keeps his life. Bas eventually realises that he's no longer there. The bomb is still in top mid.
They've got 2 smokes, though. It's smokes and a flash. They can retrieve it. But all MVP really have to do is keep an eye on the map. If that bomb disappears, you know, the animation changes, you know someone's picked it up. As soon as you see that, you can hit the old trigger, and that will allow you to hopefully get a kill if your crosshairs in the right position. But Absolute, what are they going to be able to do here? Zeta very close to the bomb. No one with eyes on it. There you go. Smoke's come out. Pre-fire coming in. It's going to be HSK to mop up. Finding another as well. And Laz just can't manage to get near that bomb. Looking for the frags instead on the gap on the side. Zeta dinking. And off the sound cue continues to hit that trigger. And that is going to be 13 rounds on the board for MVP. 3 away from coming to Sydney. Manic, what do you think about this one? What can Absolute do to get anything here in the second half?
I don't know if there's anything they can, if I'm being completely honest, Mac. We haven't really even talked about the fact that this is for IEM Sydney. This is the spot. This is the qualifier. This is possibly the last map. And Absolute, they just have nothing in the tank. They're running on the smell of an oily rag, it seems, because MVP has slapped them every which way. There's been no answer that they've had for how strong MVP have been. Zep, you've got to be kidding me. Get out of the server. That is just ridiculous. The timing was down to an absolute dime. I don't care if they're on pistols. I don't care if it's a half buy, a low buy. That is filthy from Zep.
I have an inkling that he may have heard that flash pin be pulled, and that could have triggered the old spray. Maybe, just a big maybe, because he was slightly blinded, very, very aggressive, and that flash is only going to blind probably from like the middle of banana all the way to the top. So, good position for him, not really blinded, managing to pick up the 3K. Did he fall in the end?
Yeah, he
fell
kept
eventually.
taking the fight onto Bas, I believe it was, with the Deagles, so yeah, he fell.
Just crazy. Eating up those eco frags, padding the HLTV rating, and once again looking to contest banana. 3 men facing off. What a single flash and a bloody smoke. This is confidence shining through the cracks for MVP. And there's not many cracks. They're not looking broken at all. It's Absolute who are absolutely being put in the bin. Bas shut down by Stacks. And MVP take it to championship qualification point. Whatever you want to call it, they're on it.
Oh my god, this is just ridiculous from MVP. I almost feel like Absolute are like, nah, let's just run up mid. Let's just hope we find a kill. Because at this point, you know what? The way MVP have been playing, even if Absolute was somehow to bring this back, there would be no denying the fact that they deserve to be here, the fact that they deserve this spot at the IEM Sydney Quals.
Less aggression, though, this round for MVP. They are trying to contest Banana, but Absolute just sitting back, not going for the change in momentum, which definitely did not work in the previous. 21st round of the match. Is it going to be the last? Here's some util going to be used by Absolute. It worked on the CT side, but it's not going too well. But it has baited out the shots. That lineup is still against the wall, though, as Zeta gets a bit of damage done as he falls back, but only barely surviving with his life. Is now Absolute on the hard chase here at Banana. No rotations from the A site just yet. Lots of noise made. But it's going to be HSK figuring out whether he wants to hold bracket with his teammate. You got the double dig set up there as well, and that can be very effective as Absolute as well, looking like they are going to try to make their way into bracket. The crossfire, will it be split? 4 smokes remaining on Absolute. Little utility for MVP, but everyone with a kit. Only Zeta tagged up. And Laz potentially on the lurk, but the bomb's over here as well. 30 seconds remaining. Aggression from HSK being rewarded. 3v5 as they head into the B site. Can they take a thing? Zeta's gone down. Good trade from Zeph, but it's back to the 2v3. There is an opportunity here for Absolute to take it. They need to get this bomb planted. All damage done. It's going to be Laz falling down through the smoke.
Mate, that's it.
He's unlucky.
It's done. Max, it's done. That is it.
Oh.
That's all it took. MVP are absolute beasts. They have shown well and truly that they deserve this spot. And with that, with the last diffuse of the map, we are going to be seeing MVP head across to IEM Sydney, something which I believe we all thought we were going to say a 3-0 victory at that. And boy, oh boy, we are going to be seeing them at the start of May in the Qudos Bank Arena. There's no other way to put it. There's no better way to put it than that they deserve that.
Oh, 100%. That couldn't be more convincing. You know, technically the 3-0, but both maps not letting Absolute get to double digits at all, just shutting them down as early as possible. Pretty much, you know, they were speedrunning that at that point. They were just knocking out the rounds. You could see him just running down Banana. That was full BM, you know, over-aggression, probably not necessary. They would have won regardless, but they just showcased that skill, showcased their aim and their structure, just working together. Teamwork was the name of the game there for at least one of the teams in the server. Absolute. There was a couple of shining moments, especially on that CT side, but they didn't get a single round in the second half. And unfortunately for them, they are, well, they're not even going home. Well, yeah, they are, because they're at the LAN Cafe, right?
Yeah, technically they're going home. They've packed up, they've finished up at the servers, and they're on the way home. But definitely, I couldn't agree more with the fact that one team has shown, you know, the brilliance, has shown the teamwork, has shown individual power. The other has never really been given an opportunity to even shine.
Yeah, not in this final map at least. They did a good job over in the lower bracket final, which we had earlier on between them and Storm. But here against MVP, it was just, it wasn't even too little too late. It looked like MVP just warmed up towards the end of the second map and just completely shut it down. Total annihilation here, and proving their worth, proving that they are the team that deserved to make it to Sydney.
There's little to no argument at all. No doubt in the mind that MVP were always going to be the team that were coming. It was just going to be a matter of how many maps was it going to take, how many extra minutes were they going to have to put in.
Yeah.
And it was pretty damn clear, with only 13 rounds lost in the grand final. I believe that's only 40 rounds lost in total. They played 8 maps across the entirety of this tournament. That just shows purely the dominance that is MVP. They are the Titans, and here is the bracket. You can see yourself. MVP.PK starting up at the top of the upper bracket. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and 3-0 to finish it off. It was a decent run from Absolute. You know, they got the revenge on Storm Rider. Is that enough for this, do you reckon, for them to be happy with?
Oh, look, well, that's total domination throughout the qualifier. They definitely deserve this spot. There's no... There's nothing else you can say about that. There's no rebuttal. Look, no one else even brought it to them. Absolute. They 2-0'd Storm Rider and then got absolutely shut down 3-0 there as well. So, you know, there might have been other teams that could have turned up that got knocked out earlier on, but, you know, I can't see them there on the board and they didn't turn up to play. So, you know, you can't beat the best team in the region if you don't turn up.
No, I mean, that's just the rule of thumb, isn't it?
Yep.
To beat the best, you've got to be the best, and MVP are well and truly the best. Well and truly going to be on their way. They've booked the ticket for IEM Sydney, and I, for one, am very excited to see them. I think they'll be in... who are you expecting from the Greater China region? Do you reckon Tai Lu?
I feel like there shouldn't be a way that Tai Lu lose.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be, but... you know, they've lost questionable matches before in their time, so we'll see. But it should be similar to last year. MVP China making it over here, and Boot as well. I don't know, are they still in it? I didn't have a look at while we were in the break.
Boot, Dreamscape, and Lucid, I believe, that are still playing over on the mainstream. So make sure you go and check that one out, ladies and gentlemen. But for now, that is going to be all we have. MVP booking their ticket to IEM Sydney. We'd like to thank you all for joining us. And from us, that's all we have, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time. You only remember Stacks that was holding from Graffiti, but Zeph doing God's
Not
will.
in favour, absolute at all. As the push comes in,
Oh!
Laz with the spray transfer finds the second upset round. Essentially just a couple of pistols brought up to aid that AK. Laz, though, has them slowly but surely making their way out here. There you go, there's the peak, but the information not going to be communicated in time. It's going to be Zion.
Sweet revenge coming through from MVP. There's no one there. There's no one there to be... Oh, yes! Yeah, that's what I'm after. Set up the double opening, and we'll get it as well on the back. Given a bit of a handicap. Crow being dropped down to 53 HP. Zeta picking up. Not very good for the start. Zeta just fat statting for this point. And he goes, sure, yeah, why not? HSK now holding with the orb. He's going to hit both shots. He misses the first, doesn't hit the no-scope, but he will pull out the deagle. He hits it and swings on the Rita. For Absolute, there's a great opportunity here. The nade will come through. HSK will swing wide, but Sign's close for the refrag. A 1v1. Rita pulls out the sidearm. It's not going to be a no answer that they've had for how strong MVP have been. Zep, you've got to be kidding me. Get out of